Are you a Pinterest manager or maybe a social media manager and you're looking for a better way to manage your clients in 2022 using ClickUp? Well, I have the workflow for you, much more simplified, all in one place, and a better way to know what's going on with all of your clients at one time through the entire process of your business. So let's dive right on into the ClickUp for Pinterest Managers 2022. Now, I'm calling this ClickUp for Pinterest Managers because I am a Pinterest manager. I only do Pinterest. However, you can adapt this very same ClickUp template or workflow to be Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever other social media platforms that you manage. If you do email marketing, if you do any sort of digital marketing in general, you could adapt this to fit your needs. So I'm going to talk to Pinterest managers, but know that if you're not a Pinterest manager and you're watching this, you're welcome here too. I'm Heather Farris. I run a Pinterest marketing agency and I have been doing this for a long time. Over the years, I have refined my process. I've published a video about this before that was quite a hit on this channel, and I just want to update that workflow to help you out even more, to get you out of the weeds, to know exactly where your clients are through the process. Now, my workflow, this same exact template, I use it with a team. But in the tutorial, I explain how you can use it with or without a team. You don't necessarily have to have contractors on your team or be an agency in order to utilize this ClickUp list. This is for you, whether you're solo or you have someone helping out. All right, so I'm excited to show you this template, so let's dive right on in. The ClickUp for Pinterest Managers workflow. This workflow is very different than the one that I posted earlier in 2022 or late in 2021. I have set this one up to where every client is actually in the same workflow. Now, it can get a little bit messy if all of your tasks are showing, so please, if you have a lot of clients, don't be afraid to use filters. And what I mean by that is actually filtering them out by either due date or assignee or what you're working on, what someone else is working on. That way you can clean up this view, because it gets a bit messy and hectic when you're looking at everything on the list. And to me, that's a little bit overwhelming. So just want to give you a forewarning. Now, to dive into this list, we're actually going to start in the status at the top. So all the statuses. So I've actually set this up to have like 7 active statuses, 2 done statuses, and 1 complete. So the active statuses may vary depending on whether or not you're working with a team or not. If you are working with a team, let's say a graphic designer, then the image piece or the image statuses you may need to keep. If you're not working with a graphic designer, you may want to get rid of those. And then depending on how you want to work the to-do and pin, plan, and progress piece, you may want to get rid of one of those as well. So these are my current active statuses, and like I said, all of the clients are dumped into this one list, and I like to look at it in board view myself. However, you can also look at it in list view, and there are a couple of little goodies over here as well that I want to show you before we really dive in. So I obviously work with a team. I have 2 organic Pinterest managers and a graphic designer, and I like to know at a really quick glance if each client is assigned to which Pinterest assistant they're assigned to, and then if that client has a graphic designer attached to their file or not. So for me, this is just to categorize them in my mind, and it's not really for anything else. It's not for a productivity or anything. Okay. Let's look at this and go through each status. So every month there is going to be a main task here, and that main task is going to have a recurring due date on it for the next time I need to create a pin plan for that client. Now this will be coming up pretty quickly for me for August, for September's content and my own list. But right now I have them set to the 18th of September for this example. So the 18th of every month, this task will get broken out. It'll get marked as done when it's done, and it'll come back into this list. And these are the only tasks that live in the to-do, are the tasks that are going to be coming up for the next month. Everything else, once I start creating the pin plan for the client, gets moved to pin plan in progress. Now, I have the 2 assistants and the graphic designer. So where they come into this picture is when the pin plan is actually ready, the graphic designer or the Pinterest assistant that makes the images will pick up that task and move it to images in progress. Once the images are ready for approval, they go into images for approval, and I get automatically added with a +2 on a due date automation. So any active automations, let me just show you. When status changes from any to, and the active status is images in approval, confirm, I'm going to have myself added, and then I'm going to change the due date, and I'm going to choose days after trigger 2 and create. I'm not going to turn that one on because if you grab this template, I don't want those automations to come over. You'll need to set them up for yourself. Okay. Once I come in and approve the images, they will hop over to ready to schedule, and the Pinterest assistant will be assigned. We do everything within my agency 1 to 2 weeks in advance. So I'm actually making the pin plan 2 weeks ahead of, generally 10 days to 2 weeks ahead of the next month. The graphic designer is making images the week in advance of them needing to be scheduled. That way there's time for edits to be made. Speaking of edits, if I come across some images that need to be edited, the text overlay is wrong, the graphics are wrong, something is not working with that design, I will put it back into edits needed, and the process will revert back to images in progress, images for approval, and ready to schedule post edits needed as that task status. Okay. Once the pins have been moved from ready to schedule to pins scheduled, that means that the Pinterest manager has actually scheduled them and they need to be approved, basically. I need to go look at the Tailwind queue, the Planoly queue, and make sure that everything looks okay in there, and I can go ahead and mark this task as done. Now, in most cases, I don't actually ever need to look at the pins scheduled. I only created this particular status because I just recently onboarded a new Pinterest manager, and I wanted to make sure that I'm looking at those to give any critical feedback, constructive criticism that I need to for that Pinterest manager to make sure that they are succeeding. So eventually this status will actually just go away. So once everything has made its way through, it's marked as complete and it's gone out of this list. Now, it will always live incomplete. We can always go back and find that, but at the end of every month, I actually archive all the tasks in this column so we can actually start fresh. So let's talk about how to actually create your pin plan, and then you can go and set this up for yourself. So since this task is in here and it's recurring, what I actually like to do is open this task, and there's instructions in here for the people that grab my template. I will open the task and I will copy and paste the naming convention, which is usually, it lives in the description, and I will paste that in here for 4 subtasks, and then I will hit save. And then I actually create all of the pin plans within each individual subtask, and then I will move those subtasks out of here. So once all of these are created, let me just show you really quick. Let's say these are the URLs that we are going to create pins for. We will go back to that main level task, this one, and I will move these out. I will bulk move them out to regular tasks. Now I'm going to need to move those out of pin plan ready into pins, for scheduling. And then what I will do is actually mark this task as complete, and it will, because of the recurring due date, it will automatically come back into that task later. So I've got 3 tasks here in the pin plan ready. These images are, let's just pretend that they're done, and they are for approval. Then I would come in and approve those. And then this task would be marked as done, and it would come back with this recurring due date for the following month. So everything is planned in one task with 4 subtasks. The subtasks have each pin URL for each week. Those subtasks are then renamed for the appropriate week of the month. So for example, we would actually rename these to be Client C, to be something like that. Whatever naming convention makes sense for you. and then we can really quickly see what week of the month we actually need to start these on. And then the due date would actually be set for the first day that those pins need to be scheduled. So this would actually be the 15th because we don't work on the weekend. So it would be the 15th, and then because we work in advance, there should never be an empty queue. We should never be missing content. So we can go ahead and pick up our pin scheduling on the date that those pins are due. Now, if you want to work even further in advance, you can do that. If you want to work with this workflow where you're working 1 week in advance, you can do that. It's all going to be how much of your workload you need to shift into this system and work in advance. I will say, when I first created this system for my agency, it took me probably 3 weeks of consistently working day after day after day to get caught up and to actually get us working in advance. But now that we are ahead, I find that I'm in this a lot less often, and I can go back to the things in my business that need my attention. So that's it. That is our ClickUp for Pinterest Managers 2022 edition. I really hope that you enjoy this template. So all of this was born out of the fact that I ended up losing both of my Pinterest managers at the same exact time in June, and I had to replace them both starting in July, and I needed a better way to pull myself out of the day-to-day implementation and get myself back into creating content for this YouTube channel, creating content for my membership, getting my blog posts up in a timely manner, getting things to my team that they've been begging me for, and just in general, finding new clients for my business. But to do that, I ended up having to completely gut the inner workings of my Pinterest organic workflow system and rebuild it from the ground up, and that is what you are seeing here today. I want it to be completely transparent in how much time I actually spend in my organic clients. Now, this is just working on this piece. This isn't working on all of the other things, but in general, creating a pin plan per client takes me about 1 hour per month, because within that pin plan creation, not only am I putting it all into ClickUp, but oftentimes I'm also writing text overlays for the graphic designer and creating, downloading, repurposing Instagram Reels to use in those pin plans for the Pinterest managers. Our graphic designer takes about 1 hour per month to create the pins for clients. Everything for each client that she works on is actually templated, so all she has to do is take the images from the blog posts or the videos that we're giving her, plug them into the templates, put the text overlay on, make sure it has a logo or a website on it, and then that's it. That's all that she's having to do. Approvals take me roughly 30 minutes a week, and that is split between approving the images and assigning them to Pinterest managers and taking a look at the actual Tailwind queues or Planoly queues to make sure that content is scheduled and ready to go. Now, the next one is going to be skewed a little bit because I am not the Pinterest manager anymore, and I'm not actually scheduling organic client content for anyone but one client. One. And that's it. And it takes me about 1 hour to 90 minutes per week to schedule and get all of the content ready to go. Writing pin titles, writing pin descriptions, making sure that the idea pins are repurposed into video pins, making sure the idea pins are uploaded and scheduled each month. So this can vary based on the account. We have some accounts that are a lot more simplistic and the client makes the pins where we just have to schedule them. Then we have accounts that might take us a little bit longer because we make all the images and now we have to download them, upload them into the scheduler, all of those little things. So I just wanted to share with you the estimated times. That way you understand exactly what we are doing inside this same system. Obviously, this system has been such a game changer for my agency. I'm filming this right around mid-August, and I've been implementing it since about mid-June. So 2 full months of implementation, a month and a half of working with 2 brand new Pinterest managers inside this system, and the only complaint that they came to me with was naming each task for the month and the week of the month. So August 14th to 20th, 2022. That was the only constructive criticism I've gotten so far with creating this and dumping 2 brand new contractors into this full system. If you want to grab this same ClickUp template and the onboarding as well as the customer database, I have an entire ClickUp for Pinterest managers mini course that you can grab, and it's an entire system for actually writing your SOPs for each client, making sure their full strategy is documented, making sure that your team, whether you have one now or you want one in the future, is aware of how to do each thing in your clients' accounts, as well as this full workflow. You can swipe it down below. I will leave a link to the landing page where you can go check it out, read about the full mini course, and you can even grab this free template on the same landing page if you just want the ClickUp template and you don't want to actually upgrade to the full mini course. No pressure. That's why I created it both ways. So if you want the full thing, you can have the full thing. If you want the free template, you can have the free template. I'm not going to hate on you either way. So if you have any questions about how to use ClickUp for your own business, for your own digital marketing business, if you have questions about onboarding a team, having people under you that are actually implementing for you, any and all of the above, make sure to let me know down in the comments, and I will do my best to actually create content on that topic or answer your questions in the comments themselves. To learn more about using ClickUp in your business, head right on over here and watch our ClickUp playlist, and I will see you next week.